Today we're going to answer a question. Should you go out and buy a new Ranger Raptor for $55,000 to $60,000 or a second-gen F-150 Raptor 2017 to 2020 for between 40 to 50 grand, depending on option, color, mileage, year? This is my 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor, and this is my buddy Tom's 2020 F-150 Raptor. So let's talk about this truck. We haven't reviewed this yet. This is actually new to Tom since last year. Yep. How many miles are on this?
47,000 now.
47,000 miles. And this is a late model. This is the last year they made the second gen F-150 Raptor.
2020 802 package, so it's well equipped. The only option it's missing is the Recaro interior, which I really wanted, but they're hard to find. Bought it from California from the first owner. It's just overall really clean, and now I'm dragging it through a Michigan winter, you know?
Fantastic. That's great. Well, you can actually get some options on these that you can't in the Ranger Raptor, especially like a sunroof.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest pro to the F-150, and maybe the biggest con at the same time, is just its sheer size.
Yeah.
This is your daily driver. This is your family car. It has just an enormous expanse of space in the back.
Yep.
You pull the car seats out, but normally, there you go. I mean, look at the rear seat room.
It's gigantic.
It's huge. It's just enormous.
The scale. I'm 6'1". That's my seating position.
Yep.
I have tons of space.
Yeah, there's so much space back here, you can't even reach your kids when they're back here.
Yeah,
like, they're just far away. They're in another zip code.
And if they drop their toy or something,
forget about it. They're on their own.
Until we stop for gas, which is frequent.
In the Ranger Raptor, I could practically touch the rear windshield. So, you know, it's not to say the interior is tiny in the Ranger. It's just about as much space as, you know, is practical enough. But the F-150 is a different league. So, for contrast, here's my back seat. Looks minuscule in comparison, and I've got two car seats back here. I'm 5'10". I fit behind my driving position pretty easily. Rear-facing seat just fits perfectly behind my driving position. I think if you're closer to 6 foot, you might struggle with a rear-facing seat. But that said, I use this as my family car. I especially like it because it's a truck, and I can put all of our stuff, my bikes, etc., in the bed while the family stays in the cab, and that works out great.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the Ranger Raptor interior is small. It's just that this is unusually large.
It's enormous, yeah.
This isn't a fair comparison as far as any interior space goes.
Yep. If you're taller, you need more interior space, you got to go with the F-150 Raptor. The advantages to the Ranger are it's a little bit more nimble. It's a little bit quicker. You can get the Ford Performance Tune on this and make 455 horsepower, whereas this only makes 450 horsepower from its 3.5-liter Ecoboost. 3-liter Ecoboost from the Bronco Raptor, 3.5-liter Ecoboost. These engines are pretty stout, right? Are there any major gotchas besides cam phaser, rattle?
Cam phasers are the big one.
Okay, all right.
Cam phasers are the big one. It's almost a win, not if. And Gen 3, they are resolved. But Gen 2, even up to the... I always try to, by the last model year with generation, even up to 2020s, they still have issues. So.
Okay, all right. Well,
and it's not a small job.
No. Maybe a good idea to get a warranty or an extended warranty. You could still get these under warranty as of filming this video, especially a 2020. So let's see here. Bed. This is 6 foot bed?
5.5.
5.5?
Yep.
All right. I have a 5'1" bed, but of course this is much wider.
Got some stuff in there for work.
Yeah, a lot of space. Interestingly enough, you can put some boards of wood in these slats and kind of have separators. The Ranger, you can't quite do that. It's a little bit of a different
spot for it.
Yeah. Of course, the Ranger is a global product. This was designed in Australia, sold all over the world. The F-150 won't quite fit all over the world. So this is a little bit smaller of a package, but still, I think for a mid-sized truck, one of the more practical options. It does have a deeper bed than a lot of its competition. Nice factory bed liner. Let's go drive your Raptor, because I've spent tons of time in mine and driven mine at length, and we filmed lots of videos on it. And then we'll do a comparison with that at the end. You have the carbon fiber package in this, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much bone stock aside from some light bar action and
Yep,
extra lighting in the front.
Some auxiliary lights up front and the wheels.
Cool. You got heated, ventilated seats, heated steering wheel.
Yep.
Though that is in the sync system, or is that a button?
No, that is in the sync system.
Okay.
So it's kind of a pain to get to. There's no home button. You gotta trigger something to pop up and then you hit it there.
Okay, cool. This is a locking rear diff. The Ranger has locking front and rear diffs. Same 2 high, 4 high, 4 auto, 4 low. Transfer case, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control. I mean, you got all the modern amenities. Quick access to your camera buttons right there.
Yep, you can cycle through cameras as well.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Yeah, Ford always does a really good job with their cameras.
Yeah, the sunroof, you asked about common issues. Sunroofs are a common complaint in these cars. I would imagine it depends largely on usage. I don't plan to beat this one like it was probably intended to do by the engineers that designed it. I'll definitely take it off-road. Hope to one day get some air in it, but it won't be a common occurrence.
Sure. You're not jumping this off railroad tracks on a regular basis.
No. But I love sunroofs, as Chris knows. I'll have this open from fall to spring.
Well, it's the only reason it rains and snows in Michigan is because you leave your sunroof open.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a running joke. It happens. It's a thing.
Yep. So I wanted one, was well aware that it's a problematic feature, but couldn't be without it.
That's okay. The ride quality is pretty soft in my Ranger. This just kind of takes it to another level. You really feel the width in this F-150 Raptor. Still has great power. 10-speed can be a little bit jerkier than the Ranger is sometimes.
There is a very well-reviewed tune available for this truck.
Not Ford performance?
For performance and specifically in regards to what you were discussing, the trans tune. So it can become much smoother, and it's something I definitely plan to do, kind of letting the warranty run its course first. But
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, the tune really woke up, the Ford performance tune really woke up my Ranger Raptor, and it actually smoothed out the gearbox quite a bit. It tends to kind of extend shifts, which is a little bit annoying sometimes on cold starts. Like, you want it to shift at a lower RPM, but it doesn't. So maybe you're using a little bit more fuel that way, but you actually get pretty decent fuel economy in this. You've been averaging in the city 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, I can do, if I really am light on the pedal, I can get in the 17s. Generally, as you see there, are 15.3 miles per gallon over 190 miles. I'd say something around 16 is pretty standard for the course.
Okay, cool.
There's another Trip 2 has more miles, over 3,000 miles, and it's at 16 miles.
That's pretty amazing, actually. That's pretty good. So I am averaging that, if not worse, in my Ranger right now. Just because I do drive it pretty hard when I do drive it, and it sees a lot of short trips, cold starts. Cabin, of course, way bigger in the F-150. I mean, the Ranger fits in my garage with ease. This fits in your garage with like inches to spare. And you have a pretty good sized garage.
Yeah, so I've got maybe 2 to 3 inches front and back when it's parked right in the middle. I've got to fold in the mirrors to get through the garage doors.
It's huge. You definitely have to get used to the size. I mean, you've come from, your daily driver before this was a Cadillac CT5
CTS,
or CTS.
Yeah, this is the first truck I've ever owned.
Yeah, is this was it a kind of a transition time to get used to the size, or it's not a really big deal?
Not as much as I thought it would be. I thought like parking would be a problem. I thought just everyday routine would be a problem, but it really hasn't changed much.
Okay. So it's really only tighter spaces, driveway, garage, in the city.
Yeah.
It drives great. I mean, it just feels awesome. It's so comfortable. And of course, we've driven this off-road. We had a press Raptor, I think it was back in 2017 or 2018. We took it to the dunes. It was phenomenal. It was just amazing. The suspension tuning is absolutely incredible. The capabilities of these trucks off-road, they don't really do rock crawling very well just because they can't fit places. But if you find a big open space like the sand dunes or an off-road park with some room or some wider back roads, or even go out into the desert in California or something, if you have the space to enjoy this truck, it Bajas like nothing else. Even the Ram TRX doesn't quite have the suspension sophistication of a Raptor. There's a lot to like here.
The 19 and 20 model years got the live valve shocks as well.
Okay, that's a big difference.
Yeah, they also got some other little stuff. Like I said, I'd like to try to buy the last model year, but
sorry, all your stuff is flying around the back. It handles well.
Yeah, it's on KO2s. Factory size. The wheels are the same size as the factory wheels.
Yeah, just a little bit lower offset. Steering feels great. I mean, it's an F-150 Raptor.
Yeah.
It feels so wide, so big, but it's incredibly comfortable.
I really would have liked those Recaros because if you look at them side by side, they're much more supportive. They look better. They're rarer. They're going to hold their value better. But
sure.
For being just the factory seats that are offered, these are plenty supportive, comfortable. I mean,
I really like this interior.
Pretty fish ride.
It's nice having physical buttons for everything instead of just a huge tablet. The sync's been okay.
Sync has been great. I
Good.
use the wireless adapter. It's from the factory. It's a wired sync or CarPlay system. So I just use an adapter, get in.
$40 on Amazon.
Yeah.
Done. That's great. That's what I did in my BRZ. It worked really well. Per your recommendation, actually. Cool. I mean, yeah, it's a nice truck, and if you want to save a little bit of money and maybe roll the dice a little bit on reliability, or find one with still some remaining warranty, because what's powertrain warranty on this? 5 years, 60,000 miles.
60, yep.
All right, so you've got pretty much to the end of this year.
Yep, I've got until I think it was December 20th or something.
Okay.
Of 2025. I'm at 47,000 miles, so.
I think if I had the space, this would probably be a consideration for me after the Ranger Raptor, something like this. But for my use case, it's just a little bit too big.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because it's such a great truck and I really want to make it work. But I would literally have to expand my driveway to be able to own one of these because it wouldn't fit in the garage.
Yeah, and this late model year well option, still under warranty, lower miles considerably, compared to some older F-150 Raptors of this generation. But looking at this vehicle on the market, if you found one like it right now, you would not be that far off from the Ranger Raptor. And we talked.
Sure.
I considered the Ranger Raptor for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It crossed my mind without a doubt. It's a phenomenal truck. I've driven your truck numerous times.
My first truck also. I mean, we Raptored at the same time.
And now we're Camaro Corvette guys. Look at us go. But I know that from my experience, considering cross shopping the two, I know others have been in this conundrum for sure. And even some first model year Gen 3 Raptors, if you find them with mileage on them, those are, you can find those at the higher end of the Ranger Raptor budget as well.
Yeah, it's crazy how much prices have gone up on new Raptor products. I mean, the Ranger costs what the F-150 used to not that long ago.
Yeah.
And getting one of these used, I mean, if you get one with some miles on it, you could find one for high 30s, low 40s. I mean, there's some really good deals out there.
Yep.
So this seems to be a really tight truck. It's been really well cared for. I think it's only been off-road once.
That's what he says.
Yeah, allegedly. It looks pretty clean underneath. I mean, you can tell once the truck's been off-road, it's never really the same. But, no, this is great. Any other thoughts after living with it for the last 4 or 5 months?
I'm not sure yet if I'm a truck guy. That's nothing against the Raptor.
Sure. I mean, you love sports sedans.
Yeah.
That's your jam. It always has been.
My hand was kind of forced. This is much better for my work. Occasionally I have some stuff in the bed right now. Occasionally we have delivered pallets to customers already using this. and that's a big benefit to my customers. So
Yep. Yeah, you have good payload capacity in this. You can tow like what, 8,000 pounds or something.
I'm not sure exactly. That's what you've told me.
Yeah.
That's probably more than I'll ever need.
We'll check the door card.
But I do think if I switch careers or to a different industry and I didn't need a truck anymore, I think I'd probably make the switch back pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a me thing.
Yeah. Hey, that's all right. It's a beast in the snow.
Yes.
I don't think either of us have ever had cars or vehicles, even like 4Runners. You've had a 4Runner. I had a GX. I had a 4Runner. Those didn't hold a candle to the capability of the Raptor in the snow.
Yeah.
I cannot believe what the Ranger does, and I'm sure this is just right on par.
Oh yeah, it's spectacular. I've had all-wheel drive sedans with snow tires, and they did great. But this is no comparison.
The ground clearance, the weight, and just kind of the overall heft of the vehicles, that's a big factor. It just, it's really hard to beat.
I mean, as enthusiasts, we can't forget the fact that you just kick off all the nannies. It's rear-wheel drive, and you just have fun in the snow as well.
Yeah, or even 4Auto.
Effortlessly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Baja things.
No, I don't have many complaints. It's a phenomenal truck.
All right, well, let's go compare the Ranger. I mean, for 47,000 miles, 2020, this feels like a very modern driving experience. You're going to save some money. It's big, which, again, depending on your situation, could be a good thing or a bad thing. In my case, it's mostly a bad thing, but it would be really nice to have this much space in the cab.
My girls sit in their car seats, and I usually have a dog bed in here as well.
Yeah.
Dog bed fits here.
And
my dog,
Lucy's
Lucy,
not a small dog. What does she weigh?
She's 65-pound
Yeah.
lab. So my dog Lucy lays in her bed on the floor. The girls are in their seats. It's like I need to mail something to them if I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Well,
just need a curtain.
Man, iPhone battery low, key fob battery low. What are you doing? Your iPhone battery's been low since high school, so I don't know what to say.
That's fair.
Easy to get it out of. Ford puts their steps at just about the right spot.
The running boards are really nice, honestly.
Yeah.
They're not flimsy. Like, you can put your full support on there bouncing around.
No exhaust valve in this
not
generation
2020.
Raptor. Yeah, which I thought was interesting. I was surprised to learn that. Oh yeah, this step is nice. Yep.
This folds up. The bed is great. It's it was not done from the factory, but it's everything you'd want.
It's super wide. Yeah, there's just a ton of room in there. That's great. All right, Ranger Raptor. BFG KO3 tires. These are 33s. Those are 35s. You can pretty easily fit 37s on these trucks with minimal modifications. Suspension on this is stock, no leveling kit or anything. I don't think you have leveling kit on there, do you? No, it doesn't look like it.
I love these seats.
The seats are great. They're so well bolstered. Yeah. It's funny because, I mean, this interior, this feels more like a 4Runner or a GX or a normal size crossover or SUV interior, whereas that is just, it's another level. I'm even I have a Ram 1500 this week, and that's a big truck, but this just, it's so wide.
Yeah. It's still very much so late, like 2020 Ford interior.
Oh, yeah.
This is a step up.
It is.
You've got much nicer materials. A lot of the touch points are upgraded.
And honestly, this is, I think, one of the nicest interiors Ford has. The Ranger, just, I think maybe because it's a global product, it just feels different. Like, the materials are better.
I love the digital gauge as well.
The gauges are good.
In the next generation F-150, I missed it by a year, but...
Yep. The infotainment, for being a new Ford infotainment, is really good. It's been super reliable, very few bugs. It's got a good response time. Wireless CarPlay works really well. The ergonomics in this interior are pretty good too. You got wireless charging down here, place to put your phone, water bottles, parking brake, drive modes are down here, 2 high, 4 auto, 4 high, 4 low. You can turn everything off, hoon it around. Smaller steering wheel, which is pretty fun. Good visibility. We're gonna get some rattles from the car seats today, but that's okay.
A lot of people commonly upgrade the steering wheel in my Raptor.
Interesting.
I don't.
They just go aftermarket?
Yeah, they go aftermarket, carbon fiber. So I'm certain your truck is louder than mine.
Oh yeah, the exhaust is, I mean, this is normal mode, and it's louder already, I think. You might have better sound insulation in your truck, but The exhaust in this is actually pretty rowdy.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yours is valved, correct?
It is, yeah.
So if you go to Baja, that's noisy.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, or you can go into quiet mode and it's virtually silent.
That's still pretty noisy.
It's not bad. Not bad. Of course, this is quicker. It has 455 horsepower,
Yeah.
a little bit more torque, but that's because of the tune. I think ultimately, if you were to compare the two stock for stock, they'd be about the same in terms of power to weight. This feels much smaller.
I feel like there's less body roll in this.
Yeah, and this is normal suspension mode. We can kick it up into sport. That stiffens the dampers a little bit. I think the ride is stiffer in the Ranger Raptor. Your truck just seems to float over everything, and maybe that's the longer wheelbase, maybe that's the increased width, but the suspension in the F-150 Raptors has always been just super, super soft, whereas this feels a little bit stiffer, for better or for worse. Off-road, amazing capabilities here still. It does not have the ground clearance of the F-150. Part of that is just because it has 33s instead of 35s. Only about 10.9 inches of ground clearance here. You can put 35s on these Raptors, but you probably need some type of a front end spacer, a little bit of a lift, and it looks proper with the tires on there, but really this truck was developed for 33s or maybe 34s if you want to split the difference. I'll probably eventually end up putting a set of 34-inch mud terrains or rugged terrain tires on these braid wheels that I have mounted.
11.5 inches of ground clearance on my Raptor.
Okay, all right, so it's a little bit more. And that's probably at the diff too. Yeah, that power is significantly more.
Yes.
Still really nice close gearing with that 10-speed automatic. A little bit smoother with its shifts, but that's kind of what we've seen with all new Ford 10-speeds is they've just smoothed them out a little bit.
It wasn't that many generations ago for F-150 that they were this size.
I know. I mean, yeah, dimensionally, how different is this from like the original V8 first-gen Raptor? Probably not that far off.
Yeah.
I mean, that was still a larger truck. One thing I do like about the second-gen Raptors is you could still get, is it the crew cab or what's the smaller cab and the smaller back seat?
Yeah, super cab.
Super cab?
Or screw cab. Oh, boy. Super crew they call screw.
Super crew?
Cab is they call scab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's basically the same back seat size as what the Ranger has. Maybe a little bit, it's like an inch less in legroom.
And that, I mean, with the shorter wheelbase and the weight loss, I mean, that is ideal.
Yeah.
That's a sweet truck.
That's probably what I would end up getting if I were to get an F-150 Raptor.
Or if we were child-free.
Exactly.
You know, that is an awesome truck.
Yeah, when the kids are all forward-facing. Steering. Ranger Raptor steering is a little bit too heavy, in my opinion. It feels really solid and really good, but I always find myself putting it into comfort mode. Your steering was just a nice lightweight. It felt good. It felt about right.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they're both great trucks. It just comes down to size and your comfort level with pricing and warranty.
If you need a larger bed,
Yeah.
just I think mine's just wider. Yours is a little shorter maybe, but I was looking at yours and I was trying to picture a pallet in it. I had a little bit of room to spare, so it'd probably still fit in this, but
Yeah.
have you had a pallet in here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it fit fine.
Could have jumped in at any time.
Yeah, that's right. Saved you. Saved you some grief. Yeah, I mean,
I wanted a smaller truck.
yeah, if they had struck that was kind of in between the sizes, that would be great. But ultimately, they're fun trucks too. If you want a functional like work truck, you should probably get like an older Tacoma. That's kind of the perfect size. But nothing does Baja high speed desert running, and I think street manners as well as Ford's Raptor products. And the fact that you can still get decent fuel economy in them is great.
They hold their value well.
Yeah, you can put regular fuel in them,
which is one reason I went to a Raptor, not just an F-150.
Yeah,
I know the Raptor will hold its value better.
What kind of steered you away from the Ranger Raptor? Was it just ultimately your height and the size and space you needed?
Honestly, it was for what I paid for mine. It was the difference in cost.
Okay, yeah.
It may still be the case. Once I bought my truck, I stopped paying attention to the market. But even 3 or 4 months ago when I bought mine, the availability was still limited. So
that's
if
right.
you could find one, it was strictly MSRP. Some people were asking it in addition to. If there were a plan available and I could have utilized the Ford discount that I have available to me.
Yeah, Ford hasn't done.
That would have brought them closer. Would have made the decision very difficult. But for me, the Ranger Raptors that I wanted to the difference was about $8-9 grand.
Sure. Yeah, that's significant. I'm sure on the used market they'll even out pretty quickly within a year or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I think both trucks look fantastic. The F-150's always been more aggressive, a little bit wider looking. I mean, for a Raptor product, the Ranger's always kind of looked pretty conservative, which I kind of like because it sits a little bit under the radar.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I fell in love with the colors. I got the second set of wheels at home, the forged wheels. I like the lights. It was I found the right truck.
Yeah. All right, well, we're definitely Raptor converts after living with our trucks for a while.
You know, the funny thing about driving the two of them, I think if we reversed the ownership, I think we'd still be happy.
Absolutely.
If I owned this, I'd still be pleased with it.
I could totally live with your truck, yeah. Yep. And it would cost me about the difference in price between the two to expand my driveway, so I'd be about even. No, it's great. Yeah, you had a Jeep before this, your Jeep Wrangler, which you liked sometimes, but mostly hated.
And I liked it right from the get-go, and then every time I drove it, I just liked it a little less.
Yeah, you've had nothing but pretty much positive things to say about the Raptor. We still got to get you off-road. We'll have to take you to the dunes at some point, because that's really where this truck shines. And maybe we'll go to, we'll take a quick trip out to Mounds Off-Road Park or something, or Hollyoaks, a place where you can have a little bit of fun in it, but not beat it up too much.
Put those ORV stickers to use.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Cool. All right, well, guys, those are going to be our thoughts on the F-150 versus Ranger Raptor. For similar, if not less, money than a Ranger Raptor, I think you can have a pretty good truck with the F-150 with a previous gen F-150. The new trucks are great. They kind of dial up the refinement and luxuries and comfort factor a little bit more. The suspension's a bit more sophisticated, but ultimately, all the great stuff about an F-150 Raptor, you can still get in the second gen. And for a whole lot less money, it might be worth that until third gen Raptor prices come down a little bit. Or if you want to get a Ranger Raptor, that's always a great option too. So just be aware, it's a smaller vehicle, but in the mid-size truck segment, I think this has probably the biggest back seat, right up there with next to the Colorado ZR2 or the Trail Boss. The Tacoma is probably a little bit too small for everyone, but I think this would work if you're under 6 foot and you have a family and you got rear-facing car seats. I think this would work as a family vehicle.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the message is just that you can't go wrong with either.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you buy the right one. You can buy the wrong used car.
Yeah, and
with a new car, you're kind of protected from that risk.
Absolutely, yeah. And with my Ford Performance Tune, I'm at least protected for 3 years, 36,000 miles. If you run into some issues with reliability and you're out of warranty, it could be in a very expensive proposition with the second-gen Raptor.
I saved by buying the truck.
Exactly, yeah. Because cam phasers, that's probably a
$5,000-$6,000 job.
Yeah, that's not cheap. So it's a shame Ford never really addressed that or fixed that until the third gen, and I know the third gens have their own issues. Ranger Raptors have had some cam phaser problems, but for the most part, they've been few and far between, and overall, I've heard that these trucks are pretty stout, pretty reliable. They went through development twice, once in Australia, once in the US, or at least testing and development. And so that's a good thing. It is funny how different they look. Look how just short the cab is in the Ranger versus the bed compared to the F-150. Yeah. Yeah. Front to back, I think the F-150 is really only about a foot longer, but the width is really the big difference. So, all right, well, that's all we got to say.
All right. Go Lions.
Go Lions. See you guys later. Take care.